This has been the training, live ammunition, tough, realistic, even frightening. And there can be few soldiers who have not thought this to be just a taste of what lies ahead. And the emphasis on equipment, tactics, being prepared, can pale in the waiting period beside what soldiers imagine a battle will really be like and how they will cope mentally. So the army in the Saudi desert, on its way to battle, is trying to come to grips with stress, psychological damage and battle shock. Since the Falklands, where physical injury was a priority, much has been learned of the importance of emotional damage.
It wasn't the fact that we were going down there, it wasn't the fact that other ships were being hit, and then eventually we got hit. That wasn't, in my mind, stressful.
Videos and lectures, discussions with psychiatrists, senior NCOs with the 14th, 20th King's Hussars contemplate leading their men into the fight.
To a certain extent, you tend to forget about your own individual fears, because you've got a certain amount of responsibility. I think you tend to forget about your own individual fears and worry more about your actual boys that you've got.
I think the time we're going to feel it is if we ever get that momentary lapse where we just sit down and perhaps think, what was all that about? But then it's the case of being a senior non-commissioned officer, on your feet again, and let's get the boys forward.
And keeping men going up on the front line is not just a military decision. It is the medical advisor's method of dealing with stress, strange though it may seem.
Battle shock is not an illness in itself. It's a very temporary reaction to the intense stress of battle. And it's a normal reaction happening to a normal individual in a very abnormal situation. The fact of the matter is the person is best helped by being kept with his comrades and not being allowed to go to the rear.
Ultimately, though, much depends on the attitude of an individual soldier.
Being killed myself, personally, I wouldn't like to be killed, but it's a job, and we've got to do that job. You know, I signed on the dotted line when I was 16, and since then, I've had to do that job since I was 16. And if I have to die for my country, it's just one of those things. I'm out here to do a job, and I want to do that job to the best of my ability.
Wreckage of a British Tornado, lost through malfunction rather than enemy action. The crew safe after ejecting. Hours before, these pictures showed the same Tornado being made ready for the sortie. The crew making final checks, during which, apparently, no problems were found. This was to be the lead aircraft in an attack on a target in Iraq.
To recognise it's a high-risk operation. As far as I'm concerned, my main concern is I've got a lot of my youngsters behind me tonight, and I've got to make sure they get back.
With that, they set off, but within seconds of takeoff, they lost full control. Landing was impossible, so fuel and weapons were dumped, and the plane left to crash in an unpopulated area. Wing Commander Heath found himself in a field hospital, giving a second interview sooner than he'd expected, revealing his mixed feelings at the news that his injuries will put him out of the war.
It's something that's gone through my mind, you know, that you feel quite guilty about. I mean, I should say that from my wife and my family's point of view, I'd be delighted to go home. But actually, in truth, of course I am delighted to go home, but I'm actually concerned now that I will leave my squadron behind. And whilst I have no doubt that they'll manage without me, in fact, the youngsters might say they'd be better off without me. But in truth, the fact of life is I feel that I'm deserting them at a time that is most critical.
For those still flying, there appears to be no shortage of bombs to continue the task of cratering Iraqi airfields. British officials say the work is going well. The RAF has released a recording of relaxed cockpit conversation in the seconds before a bomb is dropped.
There's light up there, I don't know who that is. Oh, I know, it's somebody in Lerner. Right, climbing off the target.
It's good, it should be going soon. 1 mile to release.
Right, we're getting the odd stuff coming up near us. Bombs away.
Okay, they've gone. Come left, climb.
Returning pilots express confidence in their aircraft.
Good jet. I mean, this one got us there and back. Very pleased about that.
Along with the jokes, there is real concern that the RAF has suffered proportionately higher losses than other Allied air forces. The fact is, though, that low-flying bombing raids on airfields are dangerous. The dangers cannot be wished away. The official position is that the losses, though tragic, are lighter than expected. But as more Tornadoes leave on missions this evening, it seems likely there will be a variation in tactics, to try to make their non-stop work slightly safer.